Hello and welcome to every 212th 3¼ inch Star Wars figure ever released, remastered. Yes, the quality has improved. It is now drastically bad instead of incorrigible. So let's get on with it and keep the pain brief, shall we? Now, where else to begin but the first chronological release of the 212th Attack Battalion 3¼ inch realistic merchandise with the Saga Collection 212th Attack Battalion Trooper figure. You're going to be hearing that phrase a lot. Yeah. Well, what can you do? You did click on this video. You possibly might be a masochist. Anyway, so, as we can see, Hasbro were very faithful to the actual movie adaptations and concept art of these clone trooper divisions and battalions, and we can see all the actual decorations and specifications of the armour are actually basically on a one-to-one scale in terms of actual application of paint, so that's good. You can see, obviously, they applied battle damage, possibly just to give it a bit of character. You know, it's a decent idea. Obviously, this figure utilises the Revenge of the Sith Super as an articulated 2005 Clone Trooper mould, so what you're seeing here is possibly the most utilised Clone Trooper mould, obviously. As you can see, this mould is quite posable, so any diorama you wish to actually create, this figure can pretty much fit the bill. Obviously, it's got a ball-jointed head, ball-jointed shoulders, ball-jointed elbows, swivel wrists, ball-jointed torso, swivel hips, ball-jointed knees, and ball-jointed ankles. So, basically, it all complements each other very well, and you can see the 2005 to 2012 era of Hasbro molds. You can really see they're very good. They're very rigid in the sense that they're not going to be too permissive. The joints aren't going to be too permissive where you can't pose them, but they have just enough rigidity and versatility in how much they actually move. Whereas you can see with the later figures that have problems holding weapons, that have problems standing up. These figures usually don't require stands, which is actually quite a testament to how good these figures are objectively. Next up, we have the early vintage collection, 212 Trooper. This one made some quote-unquote improvements, but relatively left it alone, the actual moulding. So now we have a removable helmet and ball joints at the hips. So basically, this figure can supposedly pose a bit more. I've found that it can. Some articulation is restricted, namely the torso. They didn't use the same ball joint, and it can't actually move backwards like it used to on the older molds. But I don't have many complaints for this figure. It does the job. It looks faithful to an actual 212's depiction in Revenge of the Sith and other Star Wars media. Pretty much not many complaints with this one. Head sculpt looks like Tamara Morrison. I can't actually say more about this. It's a basically very generic figure. You get quite a few releases of just generic 212 figures across multiple lines. If you're not getting bored of Alzheimer-like repetition already and have a memory retention above a 4-year-old, you might be getting a bit bored about me saying generic figures now. Well, this one isn't as generic. It has some actual differences. As you can actually see, obviously the orange colour varies differently from figure to figure, but generally speaking, the Routine Valor comic pack Legacy Collection Standard Clone Trooper actually does have some very minuscule differences with the actual other mainline releases of figures. You can see that it is not as diagonal and sharp. The actual orange stripe on the top of the helmet that you can see. Basically, it's just a repaint, absolutely no difference. So, yeah, basically, this isn't necessarily worth the money. The only thing that makes it worth the money is the fact that Hasbro has had god-awful distribution, and not many of these figures are really seen. You get them quite a few. Its prices vary, obviously, if you've seen my previous video. Now we have the later Vintage Collection 212 Trooper. As you can see, it's the same mould that the Black Series utilised when Disney took over and ruined everything. But this mould is nowhere near as good as the previous moulds utilised. It has difficulty holding weapons, it's too lanky and it's too skinny, it looks like it's been malnourished. I'm not sure about the head sculpts, but it's a no from me from this one. I've not bought it and I have no real compulsion to. If you like it, more power to you, whatever. That's about as much attention as I'm giving it. It's basically just yet another fucking 212 Trooper release. The 5th one, in fact. Now for the more sought after 212 figure. The Routine Valor Clone Trooper Lieutenant is a kit bash, which is what most collectors actually refer to as an amalgamation of different aspects from figures that have been kind of like put together in a Frankensteinian fashion. As you can see, there's a bit of a incongruence with the helmet. As you can see, the actual stripe on the top of the helmet is just completely square shaped, and it doesn't actually have a diagonal intersection. As you can see, like the other 212 things, they added little scuff marks into the orange paint instead of opting for black scorch marks. Now, the actual tangible differences between these and mainline 212 common releases are the fact that this figure has no orange decoration below the thighs. In terms of the kit bash that we were talking about, this figure utilises the 327 Star Corps Trooper mould, as in the fact that this is basically the 2005 Super Articulated Clone Trooper mould, basically, but there is no ball jointed torso. It's only a swivel torso, so swivel at the torso. The camera is the one that was first seen. It's utilising the one that was first seen on the Alpha Art Trooper figure. So that was the 30th Anniversary Collection comic pack with Obi-Wan, and that was the Battle of Jabim, whereas this one's the Battle of Sarish. Now, what can we say for the Shadow Trooper? The Shadow Trooper is just an interesting one. It's just concept art, and Hasbro made it into a figure, just obviously. This one has a very greyish blue appearance in terms of actual decoration. You will notice that it utilises a 2003 Super Articulated Clone Trooper mould. So this one is essentially the ones that we've been talking about, except it's a little bit short. It has some form of growth deformity, as we speak here, as we say. He's a little bit short to be a clone trooper. Now, this figure is very good, but all of these figures actually have very good articulation, very good sculpting, very good appearances. As you can see, it utilises a red visor. There's not many variations in the figures that we're talking about at the moment. It is very recycled. So, as well, they are clone troopers. What do you expect?
Well, no shit.
Taking a look at the back of the figure, it is just literally an inversion of the colours that they just used. It's a good figure. I recommend picking it up. It is very cheap. It's not that rare at all. I've had this one for quite a while. You might notice there's dust and everything there. Usually black figures, the dust and the kind of bits of crap that accumulate are a lot more visible. So in terms of just dust and general debris. So if you are actually having these, I recommend obviously all figures being kept in a kind of plastic bag that you see sellers ship figures in. That will help, when you're keeping them in storage and not displaying them from them just looking really a bit worn down. Moving on to an actual different role, we have the Airborne Trooper, and the Airborne Trooper is a very, very, very ornate and intricate looking figure. It has a lot of intricacies and a lot of battle scorch marks. A lot of detail was applied to it, and it does look like a one-to-one rendition of it. Looks like it just came off the movie screen, essentially just walked out. As you can see, it has quite a few more accessories that are in regards to its actual armour configuration. You can see it has a helmet. It has a pouch, has a handbag. This one's a bit of a cross-dresser, as you can see. It has actual, I don't know if they are grenades. It has a kind of like bandolier type accessory on the actual pouch. They could be grenades, they could be weapon rounds, but as you can see, you have kind of like ornaments displayed on the shoulder anyway. Talking about the head sculpt, he doesn't actually look like he's got any malevolent intentions. He just looks like he's off his tits.
Thank fuck I'm high as a kite.
Now, the back of the figure, you can see a nice camera is being used. This is I think it's custom made for this one. However, a fun fact about this figure in particular, this is not the first Airborne Trooper figure ever released. The first Airborne Trooper figure released is actually the 187th Legion from the Mace Windu Attack Battalion comic battle pack. That was in the Saga collection. So that was 2006. First release was 2007, as you can see in the 30th anniversary collection. Moving on to the AT-RT driver, we can see it is a reuse, direct repaint of the Kashyyyk AT-RT driver from the Revenge of the Sith collection. Now, what his difference is this? The nice little details that have been added, obviously. You can actually have a battle-damaged torso plate, but usually that is pretty useless for displays. Sometimes it falls off, and it makes the figure a bit more awkward to pose, but it's a nice little addition. As you can see, it's got a nice little ammo strap at the thigh. Articulation is basically, what is it? Ball jointed head, ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, swivel wrists, swivel waist, swivel hips, ball jointed knees, ball jointed ankles. Looking at the back, we can see it has a little, it's not a thruster pack, it's just a little storage compartment essentially, and it has a very odd looking utility belt. There's no thermal detonator at the back. Now, as for Commander Cody has about 4 releases. There is the Saga Collection 212 Commander Cody, basically normal one. There's the holographic Commander Cody from the Saga Collection. There is the Legacy Collection one, which has a incongruence with the belt colours, whereas the orange should be on the left and the grey on the right, on my perspective. Instead, it's the opposite. The Vintage Collection one did actually correct this error, and this is the one that I actually possess. Now, this is the most, I'd say this is objectively the best Commander Cody figure. I know, I remember as a kid wanting the Saga one for a while. I can understand. Still a bit annoyed for not having it yet, but I can easily guess it's not that much of a hard to obtain figure. This Commander Cody has a lot more better sculpting. It actually has gouges in the thighs, as you can see there. Its articulation is a bit more objectively improved. It has ball joints at the thighs instead of just swivels at the thighs. In terms of articulation, it's got a ball jointed head, ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, swivel wrists, ball jointed waist. He's got ball jointed hips, ball jointed knees, and ball jointed ankles. Everything's ball joints apart from the hips. Looking at the back and his thruster pack, and unfortunately a bit of his antenna on the left shoulder broke off a tiny bit, but unfortunately, it's just wear and tear. Remember, some of these were from actual childhood and did see some actual action. But as you can see, he was very accurate to his depiction in Revenge of the Sith. So, not much more to say about this one, apart from his head sculpt. The head sculpt actually incorporates Commander Cody's haircut in there, so that's a decent detail. He does actually have a tiny scar, as you can see, on his left cheek. All in all, this head sculpt is okay. He does look like he has a lot on his mind, though. I don't know. Perhaps he regrets trying to kill his Jedi General. Or perhaps he's just thinking about that hot dog he ate earlier, that was a bit off. Okay, now we have the last thing that we'll be covering. We have the Shadow Troopers set, that was a JediCon exclusive. As you can see there's a JediCon sticker and logo. These figures are very, very well detailed, and these are very good figures. Thankfully, they're not ludicrously expensive. They're not incredibly rare, but they're not that common. So, sealed, this is quite a bit pricey, but thankfully I managed to pick this up on an auction that no one knew about. Apart from that, their articulation is pretty much the same. This one's just a 327 Star Corps Trooper mould. That one's a 2005 Super Articulated Clone Trooper Phase 2 Revenge of the Sith mould. If you don't know this by now, I don't know. You might have an IQ below 50, but how do I know? Mine's about 65. So, as you can see, these are very nice looking, obviously very, very nice on the eyes. They have a lot lighter grey than the bluish grey on the 30th anniversary collection release of the Shadow Trooper. And obviously, it's really good to have a Commander variant of a Shadow Trooper. So, there we go. Thanks for watching. I think I might actually do every Clone Trooper variant and their variants whatsoever. So every BART Trooper, every Airborne Trooper, every AT-RT driver, and so on and so forth. So I've been meaning to make that video for a while now. So that's going to be my next video. This is just a quick one, a quick remaster. See if I can just make things a bit more streamlined and a bit more for your viewing pleasure. Like I said, I plan on making quite a few more videos to let my subscribers know that I am not dead, I'm just incredibly fucking lazy. Bye bye!